I decided to get a hair transplant. Let's talk about why, how, all the ins and outs. I know you got some questions and we're just gonna dive right in. So I've been pretty transparent on this channel before about my struggles with anxiety and what that kind of did for my hair growth, all that. You guys know I've always had the cul-de-sacs in here. So that's always kind of been there. That's not as major, but I did decide to go ahead and get a hair transplant. Now, for those that don't know what a hair transplant is essentially you are taking hair, borrowing hair follicles from areas of your head where the hair is more dense or thick, and you're moving it to other areas where the hair is a bit more sparse or where the hair has moved back, things like that. Pretty much all of you at this point, I'm sure, know I am divorced, and the process of that did quite a number on my physical, mental, and emotional health, and it resulted in a huge degree of anxiety, which thankfully is now under control. My hair has thickened back up as a result, but I did have a good degree of hair loss. If you'd like to learn more about the impacts of anxiety and what type of things I did to help mitigate that, I will link that in the eye in the top right corner, but this one we're talking about the hair transplant. So to show you guys what it is we're working with, why it is we're tackling it, this is my hairline here. Now, like I said, the cul-de-sacs are fairly normal. They have moved back some, but this situation up here is all rather new. And you can kind of see up there, it's moving up, baby. He's looking like Vegeta these days. Now, everywhere else, I can grow hair just fine. So you can see, like, not a problem there. Even when we're looking here, the shrinkage is real, but still not really a problem there either. So no issues really there. I gotta adjust this camera real quick, hold on. So no issues really there, but I do wanna go ahead and talk about some of the ins and outs. I know people have a ton of different questions on how it works, all of that. I am at the point now where I'm about a week out from the procedure. I'm not gonna be showing my process on this video yet, and I'm honestly not sure if I'm gonna record or not, just because I don't wanna have to be responsible for taking the camera with me and asking them to pause the procedure to do it and all of that. But I realize a lot of people will have questions about what the process looks like, who I decide to go with, what the cost is, pain management options, what sleeping looks like, dietary restrictions, medication, all the different things. So for the stuff I've experienced already and the stuff that I've already been informed of, I'll gladly fill you in on this video. For those that are wondering, I decided to go with Hair of Istanbul in Turkey. I did do a good degree of reading up on different clinics and things and looking at other people's experiences before I decided to go. And I noticed that a good degree of the people whose results I was genuinely impressed with were coming out of this clinic. And I wanted to hear other people's testimonies about kind of what it was that happened for them, how they were treated, what their experience was like, how they felt about their end results after it had healed, all of that. They had rave reviews. So that was number one. Number two, by looking at the photos and things on their site and on their social media, I noticed that they did well with multiple types of hair. So I noticed that if the hair was more coily or kinky, they did just as well with that as they did with straighter or wavier textures. And I'm looking for that as well, because a lot of clinics did a great job, but they did a great job on traditionally more coily textures where they're giving you that super like sharp kin hairline. I don't want a sharp kin hairline because I don't wear my hair in like a low cut Caesar like that. So I want something that's gonna look suitable regardless of how I choose to wear my hair. So whether I wear it forward, wear it backward, whatever the case may be, I want to make sure it doesn't look drawn on. Does that make sense? And they just consistently did fantastic work. Another factor for me was, of course, cost. And I will say Hair of Istanbul was a bit more pricey than some of the other options that I found, but I just, like I said, I wouldn't pay for something that I feel like is going to be better quality, and I looked at their work and I felt like it's better quality also. That leads me into price, what that looks like, all of that, and even what some of the process looks like. So I ended up having to download an app called WhatsApp, and it's basically a messenger app. With WhatsApp, I was able to message them directly, send them pictures of my befores from all different angles of the head, all that, show them like, hey, here's the fullness everywhere with no product in my hair, all that. And then from there, they started sending me back pictures like, okay, so based off of your pictures, this is what it looks like we would be able to do for you. Some of the information you need to know, all that. And then from there, they went ahead and quoted me on a price. So I'm not sure, honestly, how far forward they're planning on moving that portion there, or even this portion here. And so there's a certain piece of that where it's like, I don't really know what that's gonna look like just yet. I'm going to wait until we get a good consultation going on, because I wanna ensure that I'm taking their expertise into account when I'm going through this whole process. And I don't wanna have myself over here looking like Boo Boo the Fool because I have some unrealistic expectations. I don't feel like that would be responsible of me either. The procedure that I'm getting, which is an FUE procedure, is a bit different from their FUT procedure that they used to do. FUT was the old way of doing it, where they would essentially cut a strip out of the back of the head, slice it into pieces, and then they would basically plug it into these different spots up front. In the FUE procedure, basically what they do is they take a trying to break it down as rudimentary as possible. They take what looks like a apparatus. It's similar to like a mechanical pencil, except it does extractions of your follicles. And I imagine it's like melon balling out the follicles from different areas of the donor area in the back of the head. And then from there, they go in, they punch some holes in the front, and they place those follicles into those holes that they punched, okay? From there, it takes anywhere from 3 to 18 months for healing to be complete, which is why I'm not doing this video all as one. I'm gonna break it up into a series, and that way, if you're interested, you can watch throughout the series and be able to know what this looks like if you're considering getting a hair transplant, or if you're considering going with this clinic for your procedure. Now, for me, I was quoted a price of $4,800 and some change for the procedure. And that does not just include the surgery, but that includes my hotel stay. That includes me having a translator that goes with me. That includes me having transport from the airport to the hotel, from the hotel to the clinic. It includes my breakfast each day, and that also, my breakfast and my lunch each day. And that also includes my transport back to the hotel and back to the airport on my way out. It does not include the cost of my flight. Because I'm heading over to Turkey to get it done, I did have to have my passport. So if you don't have one and you're looking to get one done, you need a passport for that. And I did have to, of course, pay for my flight and all that there, which was roughly around $2,200, somewhere in there. So for rounding up, I would say we're looking at about maybe $6,000 to $7,000 in total for the procedure, which honestly is a fantastic price, considering that if I were to get it done right here in Texas for results that really didn't look good with the clinic I looked at here in Texas, I would be looking at least $20,000, and that just wasn't worth it for me. All of this being said, keep in mind, I realized that, is this an absolute need? No. Do I feel like if I didn't get it that my life would fall apart? No. And honestly, I'm not even super self-conscious about the area because, hello, I'm sharing it online, but it's something where I feel like, you know what? I would like to get it done. It is a space that bothers me. I've already done the different things I know I can do to be able to grow those areas back out, and the areas that can grow out have. If you are one where you've already kind of gone through some of the different steps and you notice like you've been doing things like minoxidil, finasteride, dutasteride, things like that, typically in those instances, you would have to continue that after getting a hair transplant. If you are suffering from hair loss and minoxidil helped to grow that hair back, you're basically doing minoxidil for life, because whatever is happening there, which is usually due to excess testosterone, things like that, especially from the top of the head, typically in that instance, you're going to have to still block the DHT sediments that are underneath the scalp. In that instance, you would still have to have a standard routine of medications, things like that. And usually in the instance of something along those lines, they will go ahead and let you know, hey, here's what else we would recommend at the time of your procedure. I forgot to include with the cost, it does also include a PRP treatment where they basically take your blood out, they pull the plasma from it, and then they inject that into the scalp to help promote healthier growth. You also get your take-home products with that and any medications that you may need, so there's no extra costs incurred. Now, at the time of me filming this, I'm about, I'd say, a week out from my procedure. So I've already got tickets booked, I've already got all of that, and I did this back in like January, February timeframe. It is now May. And I'm at the point now where I'm about to have to start prepping prior to the surgery and all of that. And I'll lay out for you what that looks like. Right now, they also have me on a special diet where prior to the procedure, you cannot have alcohol, you cannot have spicy foods, you can't have tomatoes, garlic, or ginger. And that has been probably the hardest part for me thus far. They also don't advise smoking and things for, I think, 2 weeks prior to the procedure. If you're on any blood thinners, you have to go ahead and basically stop those with the approval of your doctor prior to the procedure as well. You have to have blood work done to show that you don't have any type of HIV, hepatitis, anything along those lines. You've got to have clear blood screening because they want to ensure that everything is safe for that as well. And all that is kind of required going into your trip. Starting this Friday, which will be less than a week till my procedure, I think it's like 5 days before my procedure, I have to start going through a special process with the actual hair, and that part has me a bit concerned. Let's talk about what that looks like. So I'm going to be having, I have the shampoo with this here. It is a clinical strength seborrheic dermatitis shampoo. Morning and evening, every day leading up to the procedure for about 5 days prior to the procedure. I have to basically put this in my hair on the scalp, let it sit for 3 minutes, and then go ahead and rinse out, go through the rest of my routine or whatever. And I have to do that in the morning and the evening each day. I also have to put a advanced strength antibiotic on the scalp prior to the procedure for those 5 days, morning and evening as well. So after I finish all that, I have to put an ointment on my scalp called mupirocin. However, I have connects in Mexico, so I have mupirocina. Okay, so that's what we're doing there as well. Talking about care afterwards, That part for me looks like it's going to be somewhat challenging because your sleeping patterns have to be a bit different for it as well. On update videos, I'll share a bit more with you on what that process looks like, but you have to sleep at essentially a 35 to 45 degree angle when you're sleeping, typically with multiple pillows stacked up and with a travel neck pillow on to ensure that you're not resting the donor area on anything. It also helps to minimize swelling. A lot of times when you see people that are really prone to swelling, it tends to be a bit worse. Or if you see people that were not following instructions and we're laying down flat, stuff like that, you'll see quite a bit of fluid collection in the head. It is typical to see swelling one way or another, so I am expecting that to a certain degree. I've seen multiple people discuss that their donor area, or the area in the back of the head, typically does tend to be the most sore after the procedure, stating that they tend to feel a bit more numbness and things in the donated area. Downsides to the procedure is like, okay, you get the procedure done and essentially you're like, okay, hey, great, new hairline. Downside here is you can end up with what's called shock loss, and you will end up with what's called shock loss. So essentially a month into things, when you feel like everything's going good and all that, the entire transplanted area falls out and you're basically starting from scratch. Typically by about month 3, you start to see some fullness in the hairline where you can see some hairs growing back in. By month 6, it's looking a bit more normal. And by month 18, it is considered completely healed. You're not gonna see any more thickness by that point. So I realize that this is not gonna be an immediate process of me seeing that hair looking like, ooh, yes, child, this is amazing. It's gonna be a process. I'm gonna be ugly for a minute. I've already got my turbans ready and I will be wearing a buzz cut for a minute. That being said, when they start to go into the procedure, once I get there, they are going to shave my head completely. They will basically draw with Sharpies on my face to show me like, hey, here's where your hairline is. Here's where we plan on moving it to. Here's what we can do with the amount of grafts that you're going to get while still maintaining density in the other areas that you're donating from. In more severe instances, I have seen people where they cannot get it all done in one sitting. They have to get multiple done. So they'll do 2 different rounds and basically move it if they're missing like this entire area up top or something like that. In my instance, I don't have a ton of density. Despite the fact that my hair looks thick, it's full of deception and lies. So don't trust him, he's a liar. He's a liar. Yeah, so that's the current plan. I am looking forward to seeing Turkey. I'm looking forward to the food. And I'm looking forward to eating spicy foods again after the procedure is done. If you have any questions about this or things that you want me to answer in the next video, let me know and I will try to make note of those to touch on in the next video. But I did want to kind of fill you guys in with that and show you what some of this process looks like in case you had any questions. Like I said, I don't know if I'm going to be filming on my trip, but I'm more than happy to answer the questions that you have about the procedure and all of that in future videos and to be able to give y'all updates on what it looks like, proper care and maintenance, all of the different things. If you've watched this far, thank you so much for watching. If you have questions, let me know in the comments. And if you're interested in following along on this journey, please subscribe. Until next time, boo, you know I love you. Bye.